In a world where horror was banned, where censors ruled with scissors and moral crusaders hunted videotapes, one decade dared to go further. Welcome to the wild world of 90s video nasties. So shocking, they had to go straight to VHS.
You have been warned is the message to video retailers from the Director of Public Prosecutions. If you stock any of the 62 titles on a list circulated by Scotland Yard, you could end up in court.
It depicted death, it depicted violence, which we felt enough was enough and took action to stop the growing spread of this form of violence.
Then, in the same way that there are age and other restrictions on who can see what in the cinema, the distribution of videos will be much more tightly controlled.
Every kid knew someone with a stack of tapes hidden under the bed, black market bootlegs swapped in schoolyards, video shops where the back shelf held the good stuff. The nastier the cover, the faster it got rented. Horror fans didn't just watch these films, they hunted them, collected them, worshipped them. Not in the cinema, not on TV, only on VHS. The 1980s gave us the original nasties. Cannibal Holocaust, The Driller Killer, Zombie Flesh Eaters, tapes so terrifying they were dragged into Parliament. But the 90s? That's when things got even stranger. Horror labels like Vipco and Redemption dug up the band, slapped "uncut" on the box, and sent them back to your local rental shop. If it was banned, it was branded. The shelves were stacked with gore fests from across the globe. Japan's notorious guinea pig tapes, so convincing the FBI thought they were real. Sleazy Euro horrors, cannibal epics, and straight-to-video slashers shot for the price of a pizza. They weren't polished, they weren't pretty, but they were nasty, and that's why fans loved them. Cheap, bloody, unstoppable.
The public are totally disagreeing with you in their millions in all the countries that it opens, which is about 6 or 7. No, not because it's been something. You cannot drag people in by selling them anything. The one thing we know for sure in cinema is that what gets people into a cinema is a thing called word of mouth.
They called them obscene. They called them depraved. But we just called them Friday night entertainment. From the twisted shock of cherubs to the sleazy slaughter of the bogeyman. An island paradise turned to hell in Island of Death, and the brain-splitting madness of nightmares in a damaged brain. Step right up for the carnival of fear, the fun house, but whatever you do, don't look in the basement. Witness the bloody revenge of terror eyes, the small-town horrors of dead and buried, flesh-eating terror from beyond the grave in Zombie Flesh Eaters, and the drill that shocked a nation, the Driller Killer, banned in Britain, hunted by censors, but alive on VHS. In Britain, one name struck fear into the hearts of horror fans, Mary Whitehouse, the self-proclaimed defender of decency, waving her finger at television, film, and anything with a splash of blood.
I have never seen a video nasty. I wouldn't. I have far too much.
But how can you judge on a video nasty? You've never seen one.
Look, if somebody tells me, as we get these reports in from Europe, from America, and from this country, that a particular video nasty contains that, and that, I actually don't need to see visually what I know is in that film.
To her, the nasties weren't just movies. They were a moral plague. And she wasn't alone. Politicians paraded VHS covers in Parliament, newspapers splashed lurid headlines across the front page, and moral crusaders lined up to warn the nation that these films would corrupt the youth, destroy society, and maybe even summon the devil. To horror fans, they were killjoys. To the censors, they were allies. Together, they created the climate of panic that made video nasties infamous. The louder they shouted, the more curious we became. They tried to ban them, but they only made them legendary.
It's got an interesting little feature here. I'm going to turn it on. It can actually transform your voice from your regular voice to that of an occultic hero. Is that correct? So let's get a Skeletor type of voice. Skeletor, the master of the universe.
Across the Atlantic, America had its own nightmares. The censors may not have banned the tapes, but the headlines screamed just as loud. The satanic panic swept the nation. Preachers, politicians, and talk show hosts warning of demons lurking in your VHS player.
Do you think that Tommy was possessed?
I think that possession is a state of mind, and it would have been a hell of an interview with Tommy had we located him.
Is it the church's position that demonic possession is possible?
I believe not only is it possible, it is a reality.
Satanism in America, what they don't want you to know. This new publication will give you the facts on occult and satanic activities that threaten you and your family.
You have to give a blood sacrifice to Satan. It's supposed to keep you protected. It's supposed to keep you pure.
Satanism is more than a hodgepodge of mysticism and fantasy, more than a Halloween motif. It's a violent impulse. It preys on the emotionally vulnerable, especially teenagers, possessed by an obsessive fascination with sex and drugs, and yes, heavy metal rock and roll. California-based high priest of present-day devil worship, LaVey founded the Church of Satan. Now, despite its preachings of evil and hate, the church and its offshoots are constitutionally protected religions.
I believe that hate is necessary in a controlled way just as much as love is necessary.
Satan means whatever I'm looking at, whatever I want it to mean. It's on my forehead. It's me if I can get up on that highway.
Bacardi and Mountain Dew, I believe.
I doubt that very much.
No, that's what was in there.
Now, you know very well that it's normal to have blood in that ceremonies.
I'm not a bad guy. My intentions are not to harm anyone. In fact, it's directly the opposite. Like when people come to my concerts, I want them to have a good, fun evening out, you know. And it seems to me that a lot of people judge the book by the cover more. So they write things about me where they don't even know what they're talking about, you know.
Daytime TV turned horror into headlines, with Geraldo, Oprah, and the evening news blaming heavy metal, role-playing games, and yes, those nasty horror tapes. In Britain, it was the censors. In America, it was the preachers, different enemies, same hysteria. Satan in the suburbs, horror in the home, America's panic on parade.
These symbols of Satanism are turning up everywhere. On walls, on clothes, on album covers, and even on bodies of murder victims. Baby killings, ritualistic rape, cannibalism in the name of Satan. They were obsessed with satanic books, gory movies, and heavy metal music. Satanic crime makes gang activity look like a nursery school.
For many in the United States and Canada, it's much more convenient. It feels better to deny that Satanism is rampant in America and Canada.
Those girls were watching a scene from a horror film called Evil Dead 1, which broke all financial records in the cinema and as a home video when released 4 years ago. Sam, let me just ask you first of all as to why it's important to show a woman being raped by, of all things, a tree. Now, how necessary is it to have those kind of scenes in horror films today?
Well, I don't think it's necessary specifically to have any particular type of scene in a horror picture.
I hadn't had to look at all his film, but I have seen some of it, and it strikes me as the rather true-to-life pictures of people vomiting blood and blood all over their face and their bodies mutilated.
Can you just tell us what you actually thought of the film?
I thought it was excellent. I thought it was possibly the best horror picture I've ever seen.
The stories were wilder than the films themselves. In Britain, police raided video shops and seized thousands of tapes. In America, a worried Charlie Sheen once reported the Japanese guinea pig films to the FBI, convinced he'd witnessed a real murder. Daytime TV hosts claimed Dungeons & Dragons was a gateway to Satan.
It began as a cult phenomenon, then it caught on. Now a new game is sweeping the country.
You will burn forever and ever in eternal torment. You are no more.
Evangelists swore heavy metal records hid demonic messages, and in Britain, one politician even held up the cover of Cannibal Holocaust in Parliament, declaring it proof that society was under siege. The hysteria was global, the logic was laughable, but the fear was real, and every headline, Every raid, every scandal only made the tapes more desirable. Video nasties weren't masterpieces. They weren't safe, but they were ours. Scuzzy, bloody, forbidden treasures of the VHS age. So dust off that clamshell case, rewind your tape, and press play if you dare. Not rated, not approved, never forgotten.
Dreams can't hurt you. Are you there, George? Daddy!
The name of the demon that was inside the young man was named Azrael. I later found out that Azrael was Lucifer's personal death angel. Not only that, but I also found out that that was the same name as the cat on the Smurfs.